Hello everyone, today I'm going to be going over the for loop in C. So we already went over the while loop in the last video, so I'll be using the same example, and hopefully that'll make the for loop make a little bit more sense if you understand the while loop. So that's the only reason I'm really using the same example. So what we need to do first is define three integers, I, j, and t. Next, we're going to make each one of these equal to something, or some of them equal to something. So we'll have I equal to 10 and t equal to 1. Now, the reason I didn't define or initialize the j variable is because we're going to be using that in the for loop. It actually gets defined inside of the for loop, so we're not going to do it out here. So let's actually just type for, which allows us to start our for loop. This just tells our compiler from this point until the end of bracket of our for loop, we will be doing this command and this information over and over again. What you need to do then is make a set of parentheses, and in this is where we're going to be defining our variable j, the conditional statement, and then another statement, a third additional statement, which will tell the compiler to do something multiple times every time, or it will tell the compiler to do that every time it loops through, so it'll do it multiple times until the loop is over with. So j is equal to 0, semicolon. Now what this does is say j is equal to 0, then we also want to do this, and we'll say j is less than or equal to I, which just says we want to check if j is less than or equal to I, and at this point it is, because right away when the for loop starts, j is equal to 0 and I is equal to 10, so it's going to say, is 0 less than or equal to 10? Yes, that's true, and then it's going to do what we tell it to. Then it says, now this is what I want to do for every time we loop through, and we'll have this do j plus plus. Now what this will do is just make sure that j always goes up. Now we can do our left bracket and our right bracket so that we have our body of the for loop. So here's our right bracket and our left bracket. This just says inside of this body is where we're going to be putting our code for what we want to do. So let's have it do t is plus equal t, which you guys probably know by now because I made a video on mathematical operations. This just takes whatever the current value of t is and adds that to t again. So if it's 1, it'll do 1 plus 1 is 2, and then it'll do 2 plus 2 is 4, and so on, until j, which at this point is 0, equals 10, or is equal to I. Or actually it'll be after it's equal to I, because we're testing for less than or equal to I. Less than or equal to I. So now this alone should work. It should do all the data. So outside of the for loop body, which is ended right here by this tag, we are going to put printf and then print out our variable. So printf, left parenthesis, or set of parentheses, quotation, and then we'll say something like t equals, and then %d for decimal, \n, quotation, comma, and then t. And that was a semicolon, and we can compile and run this. So now we have t is equal to 2048, which means that everything worked out normally. I just know that that's what the answer is. We also did this in the while loop video, so you can go check that and we get the same results. Another thing we can do to check what the value of t is every time that it gets reassigned is we can actually start out in the for loop, and for this example, because we don't want this to be the exact same thing as the while loop video, let's put the printf statement before we increment t. So this should not say 2048. It should say 1024, I believe, because we're not printing out this last incrementation. But we can test that. So compile and run, and we get 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, blah blah blah, all the way to 1024. But the actual value of t is at that point 1, or not 1, 248, which we can test by putting the print statement down here. And there we go, 2048. Now, the most important thing with a for loop is this part right here. This last statement that we put inside of the body of the for loop is very important, because not only could we put j++ here, we could actually change that to t plus equals t, and then just put j++ here. Oops, semicolon. And you'll see some more for loop magic. We still get the same answer, or we get the same answer as printing out before the reassignment, because now what's happening is after it increments through the loop once, it's performing that operation. So what the for loop is actually doing is it's saying, for every time that j is less than or equal to I, after it starts out equaling 0, I want you to do this. Then once you do this part down here, which pretty much is ended by the printf statement, then I want you to increment t. So it'll first make j equal to 0, check if 0 is less than or equal to I, which at this point is 10. It'll run this code, which increments j to equal 1, and then it will say the value of t, which should be 1. Then it'll go back up, test this part again for is 1 less than or equal to I, or 1 is less than or equal to 10, and then it will execute this, then go back up, execute the t plus equals t again, and so forth. So let's just review all together. The for loop first starts out by initializing our variable, or one of our variables. It then has us put in a conditional statement, which we check for, in this case j is less than or equal to I. It then takes a statement that you want to perform after every loop through, and then takes instructions in the body marked by left and right brackets to execute every time it loops. The third statement in the parentheses of the for loop is executed after the last statement of the body. So the printf statement right here occurs right before the t plus equals t is performed. So it will say j is equal to 0, 0 is less than or equal to 10, true. It will execute j++, printf, t plus equals t, and then go back to checking this comparison statement, j is less than or equal to I, and then perform until this equals false. Now that's not my only trick, because we can actually make a for loop infinite by just not supplying any arguments at all and just putting in semicolons, like this. So if you just have parentheses and 2 semicolons, which basically just has no variables, it will continue to printf equals t, which at this point is equal to 1, over and over and over again until we close that process, which can be useful. I mean, I don't see this that much. It's more likely you'll see an infinite loop with a while loop. But anyways, I hope you guys now understand how a for loop works and that you learned something. If you like the video, please press the like button. If you would like me to talk about something on this topic or another topic, PM me or leave it in the comment section below. If you just have a comment on the video, you can feel free to leave that in the comments. And if you want to see future videos, subscribe. And if you want to support the video to the most that you can, press the favorite button, because that helps a lot. Thank you guys, and I'll be seeing you later.